What do you wanna be? Wanna be me? Well, come and see. Wanna be. Man, I can't stand me. Wanna be us. Wanna be us. Wanna be us.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video I'm going to be bringing you the fake thumbnail tutorial. And instead of Photoshop, we're going to be starting off on Modern Warfare, because this is where we're going to, this is the base of everything, of every thumbnail, in game. But first and foremost, let me claim this free bundle. Is that double weapon XP? A gold double weapon XP? If so, that's a W. It is. Oh, okay. So first, what you want to do is go into the loadout, whatever the case may be. Let's just say an AMAX, right? Like this AMAX right here. I got my camo, everything set. You want to go into gunsmith. For me, you can choose any camo. You can choose gold if you have it. I don't really play Modern Warfare or like Call of Duty that much, so I'm just gonna go off. I wanted to use this one, which I still can use, right? Since I unlocked that category, I'm gonna use this camo right here. I am gonna screenshot this using Light Shot. I don't know if you've heard of it, but here's the first time you may be hearing about it. So Light Shot lets you screenshot very fast with a click of just one button. That is the print screen button if you do have it on your keyboard. So let's just go here to, oh, my PC's kind of acting up. All right, let's just go here and then just Light Shot, boom. So this is the app I use. You can download for Windows. Light Shot is, it comes very much in handy. I enjoy using this this software right here because it helps me out a lot. Like for example, let me just click back on Modern Warfare. I click print screen and I can choose a certain area, right? It all depends. I can choose just whatever I want, right? So I'm just gonna be cropping whatever the case may be. For this case scenario, I'm gonna do this right here. I'm gonna do this angle right here. This is what I'm gonna choose. Control S and save. It saves to my downloads folder. Also, if you have one of your weapons like gold, for example, let's say this M4. Who doesn't have their M4 gold? Like the fuck? You can preview this weapon in Damascus if you do have gold unlocked. As you can see, I can preview this in Damascus, so we can use this too. I'm probably gonna use this instead of the pink AMAX, so I can do like a fake tweet, whatever the case may be, about this being the new meta again. So let's go back into Photoshop and we'll continue from there. Okay, so now that we're here in Photoshop, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select my screenshot that I'm gonna use. In this case scenario, I'm gonna use this M4 that I just took screenshot of. So I'm gonna start off by cutting this out. I'm gonna be using the pen tool, as always, the best and most precise tool you can use. But there is an alternative. It's not the cleanest. It's it's not the best alternative you can use. But you can use the quick selection tool or W on your keyboard, or it's the 1 2 3 4 fourth option in your toolbar. So hold down your left click on this fourth one, go down to quick selection tool, and then click select subject. And what that's gonna do, it's gonna choose your weapon. If it's in a sky background, it might look the best, but in this case scenario, I don't really like how it turns out because it leaves like a little fuzziness towards the edges of the weapon. So in this case, like right here, it leaves it like really fuzzy. It doesn't do the best cutout, but it gets the job done if you do need it, of course. But for me, I prefer the pencil always, because even though it takes a bit more longer to do, and it's it's a bit tedious sometimes, it is more cleaner of a cutout when it comes to doing this instead of this quick selection tool. It leaves fuzziness at the edges of the weapon. I don't really like that. And then it cut out this little rotate right here, so there is that. So I'm gonna be using the pen tool. So first, start off pen tool, P on your keyboard, or go down here on the task toolbar and select the first pen tool just in case you don't have it selected. So now what I'm gonna do is give like a quick rundown on how to work the pen tool. So first, I'm gonna zoom into my image so I can start off on this right here, where I'm gonna put my anchor point. And to zoom in like that, you hold Control and space, and you can see this little magnifying glass, right? You drag left and right, and what that's gonna do is it's gonna zoom in. Right zooms in, left zooms out. So I'm pretty much gonna zoom into a where I feel comfortable. I don't want it to be looking pixelated like this. I don't want it to be like a little too far. I want to leave it like at a good distance, right? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on a corner, where I want to start off, and then I'm gonna click on another place, drag and add a small curvature for this little thing right here. You don't want to go straight down, because what that's gonna do, it's gonna curve because you haven't adjusted this little dot. And to adjust this little dot right here, or I don't even know what to call this, I'm just gonna call it like secondary anchor point. You hold Alt on your keyboard and then drag with left click, and just keep holding your left click, and you're able to drag, right? So you can adjust the curvature of whatever you're cutting out with this. And then to move, let's say for example, your anchor points right here, and you don't want it to be there, you hold Control on your keyboard and then drag up on the anchor point you have there. So that's pretty much like a quick rundown on the pen tool. Let me get to pen tooling this out. I'll speed it up, and I'll be right back with you guys. All right, so now that you got your weapon selected, you got your pen tool cut out basically. What you want to do here in this case scenario is you can do two methods right here. You can go hover over your selection, or go over here and press make selection and then OK. What that's going to do is going to choose your cutout and what you cut out for yourself. You can right click on it and then make selection as well. It's going to do the same thing as you clicked up here, of course. You can Control J after that. What that's going to do is it's going to duplicate that layer. Or the third and final option, which is the one I usually use the most, is well, nothing selected, just your work path basically. Click on paths, make sure your layer is selected. Go to paths, hold Control on your keyboard and click on the small thumbnail, and then Control J, or go down here and add a layer mask. It's all up to you, but I would usually go the Control J route and just create a new layer. We don't need that anymore. We're gonna hover over this layer, click it. This is not necessary for this case scenario, since this is gonna be a fake tweet thumbnail. You're gonna have a black background, so it really doesn't, it's really not important. Maybe if it was like a sky background or like a light color background, we would use it, because it has like small edges that you might not want. So what you want to do, it's not necessary. I will say again, it's not necessary, but if you do want to proceed, then follow me. Hold Control on your keyboard again, and then click on the small little thumbnail for your weapon, aka your weapon in this case scenario, right here. And then go to select. Let me up my DPI. I use a pencil on low DPI so I can cut out more precisely. Go to the select tab up top on Photoshop, go down to modify, and then contract. By default, it's gonna be contract by 1. That is all you need, unless you're not the best at cutting out, and you leave like really big gaps with like black background all over the place. So you can raise it if you need to, but generally it's just 1 if you do a precise and clean cutout. So enter and then Control J while being selected over your layer. So as you can see right here, it cuts out 1 pixel in general overall from all the weapon. So what that does is it removes black from the weapon, like right here, the grip, the stock, the mag, the grip. This is, I don't even know what to call this, but the foregrip. Oh yeah, this is grip, this is foregrip. All right. So as you can see, it removes 1 pixel, which is really nice. It makes the cutout even more cleaner than it already is. So you can delete this layer. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna convert this into a smart object. What that's gonna do, it makes it to when you add filters and such, you can be you're able to edit them. So there's that. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new file, a new document. I'm gonna make it 1280 by 720 at 300 resolution with the background color being black, because that is the background we're gonna be using. I'm gonna tell this fake tweet template. All right, boom. So I'm just gonna unlock this and just name it background. I'm gonna unlock it. I'm just gonna make this a bit bigger just in case. You can never be too safe, right? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag this over to this to our fake tweet template file. You don't need this anymore, so you can close this off now that you have your weapon right here. So I'm gonna make this cutout a bit bigger, something nice. Your fake tweet's gonna go down here, so just make sure it isn't covering your text. So I'm just gonna leave it like at a certain angle. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna tell this M4, not really necessary. You can just leave it as layer 1, 2, 3, layer whatever. But now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on my bottom layer, which is my background layer. Add a new a new layer. What I'm gonna title this is gonna be brush, background brush. Okay, background brush. Now what I'm gonna do, if you have color right here, and if you don't, you can activate by going into window and go down and then go to color, or F6 on your keyboard. So F6, it removes it. F6, it adds it back in. So I'm gonna go something in between like blue and purplish for this case scenario. I'm gonna add my brush. I'm gonna make sure my opacity is at 100, my flow is at 100, my hardness is at 0%, and you know, it's a pretty decent size. To do this, what I'm doing right now, I'm sorry, I'm stuttering. You know, I'm trying to get this as fast as I can. So to do this, you know, brush hardness and, you know, size changing, what you do is hold Alt on your keyboard, and then right click. Left and right is gonna make it bigger and smaller. Up and down is gonna raise your hardness, but we don't want 100% hardness. You know, it's a bit weird. So I'm gonna go with that. You know, a decent size 0% hardness. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my color. I'm gonna choose like in between the, you know, white and the color itself. So I'm gonna go like in between like bluish, purplish. I'm just gonna go like right here and add that. That seems pretty good. With color corrections, this is gonna improve upon more. So if you make your weapon bigger, you know, you can erase this later on and just make your, you know, brush bigger, something like this, which I'm probably gonna keep, since, you know, you can never be too safe. I'm gonna keep it something like that. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to make this fake tweet. So let's get to it. Okay, so now that we're here, I'm gonna go to Twitter. I'm gonna go into a random account. So in this case scenario, you know, you can choose any account you want. FaZe, you know, Raven software if it's like for a weapon. Photoshop. I'm gonna be using Raven for its likes, since he usually has a lot of likes. So I'm just gonna go down, look at something, and you know, it's pretty appealing, or maybe even Charlie Intel, right? So let me search up Charlie Intel right here. They have some pretty decent likes, right? So what's today? February 6th. All right. Let's see. Something like this, right? Where, you know, Warzone has 250 million people playing. You know, in 2020. You know, it says 7 a.m. February 2026. You know, you can edit this media studio joint out. We don't need that. But what I'm gonna do here is, you know, grab this in general, this little tab. Control S. I'm gonna save that. This is where light shot comes in handy, because light shot is just amazing, and I will point that out the amount of times I need to. Light shot is a lifesaver. So now I'm gonna go into some, like, you know, Photoshop, go into, you know, a random tweet. I'm not gonna do this one because it says pin tweet up top. So I'm just gonna go into here, right? Go into Adobe Photoshop, screenshot some, you know, their like avatar logo, and then I'm gonna screenshot the little 3 dots, because, you know, it just adds a bit more to the thumbnail. It spices it up a bit. So I'm gonna Control S. What that's gonna do is gonna save it to my desktop again. You know, you can do this as well, this little screen right here. But since we're gonna be making our own, you know, we don't really need it. So let's go back to Photoshop and let's get started on it. Okay, so now that I added my color corrections, my spikes, and my, you know, tag that I'm gonna include here, I'm just gonna make best, since, you know, we're going with best down here, that I have the best of, you know, whatever the case may be. This, you know, you can edit this as well. So I'm just gonna, you know, I just do wow, you know, OMG, you know, best, meta, you know, you can change that. So I'm just gonna leave it at best, and then exclamation point. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna edit this. I'm not gonna add, like, you know, perspective to this. I'm just gonna leave it as is. I don't want to change nothing with that, so I'm just gonna leave that as is. For my brush, I gotta adjust this brush in the background, because my opacity and my flow are at 93%. That's for, like, the brushes for the weapon. So we're gonna do that right there. Add that brush in the background. You know, adjust it a bit. You know, it's all up to you, personal preference. I always say this, but, you know, that's all up to you. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a new layer, put that over the M4. I'm gonna title this overlay brush. Overlay brush. Gonna make this overlay. Drag this down to like 60% fill and opacity. There I just made it, you know, kind of like the same. I'm gonna add another one, and this is gonna be linear dodge add, and this is gonna be brush, just mainly brush. I'm gonna lower the opacity down to like 60%, the fill down to like 70%. You know, you can play around with it. You know, it's all up to personal preference, as I always say. But this is really all up to you. It's not, you know, nothing too crazy. And then I'm gonna add a new one, and it's gonna be overlay brush 2. This is gonna make overlay. And this one is gonna have like really low opacity and really low fill, like in the 50s, 40s, you know, nothing too crazy. We just want to add like small highlights. And now what I'm gonna use is I'm gonna go click on my M4 layer right here. I'm gonna double click on it. We're gonna add a layer style. What I'm gonna do is gonna add a color overlay. Make the color white, pure white. Make the blend mode into overlay. The opacity like 9%. You know, nothing too crazy when it comes to the, you know, the mask is. Maybe for like a darker camo, you can use like more opacity. And then a small drop shadow, nothing too crazy. Line drop shadow, that's good with me. Nothing crazy. I'm gonna raise the color correction to 70% right here. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add filters to it. I'm gonna smart sharpen it. You know, you can play around with this. You know, you can smart sharpen it 200%. You know, 1.5 radius, which I'm probably gonna do since it looks really good right here as I'm looking at it right now. I'm gonna go to filter again. I'm gonna go to sharpen, unsharp mask. What that's gonna do is gonna sharpen it a bit more, give it a bit more detail. And now what I'm gonna do again is go into here, reduce noise. I'm not really gonna reduce that much noise. I'm gonna go to 2, preserve detail, go to 49, like 50. We're not gonna reduce color noise. We're gonna sharpen detail by like 25%. Nothing too crazy, you know, leave it like that. You can also edit this through camera raw filter, you know, add effects and such. Right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a bit of contrast. I'm gonna right click on this and then create a clipping mask. Raise the contrast, you know, a bit. Maybe lower the brightness a bit since we're gonna be adding brushes. You can also do this through, you know, camera raw filter. This right here, and filter, camera raw filter, or Control Shift A as a, you know, hotkey or, you know, quick shortcut on your keyboard. You know, you can edit this right here. You can raise the contrast, you know. I'm just gonna do that in 0. What I am gonna raise is the texture and clarity a bit, nothing too crazy. You can also, you know, sharpen your image up right here. Reduce noise, reduce color noise. So I'm not gonna move any, you know, any of this. I'm just gonna drop everything back to 0. We don't want that. I just wanted to add a bit more texture and a bit more clarity. You can add a bit more vibrance if you want to. Maybe, you know, a bit of more exposure, brightness, whatever the case may be. But that is all up to you, personal preference, as I keep saying. I might adjust this background brush to make it toward more centered, you know, where it's over the weapon and kind of centered, you know, nothing crazy. Now that we got this right here, what I'm gonna do is gonna go into Chrome, go to Google real quick. Hold on, I'm gonna Google, all right? So, you know, I don't, you know, we're at Google now. What I'm gonna do is Sparks black background. I always do this. You know, you can look for some Sparks. You know, all up to you. Nothing crazy. You can search like something like this. This is a 4K image. So, you know, you can copy this over. Go to, you know, put this in Photoshop. Make it to size. You know, adjust it since it is a 4K image. Go down. Put like right there. And now what you want to do is make it into like a you know, screen, color dodge, linear dodge add. You know, it all depends. But in this case scenario, I'm gonna do a screen, since, you know, it makes it a bit more transparent when, you know, over here. I'm gonna title this Sparks. I'm gonna get another set of Sparks that I can add over the weapon. You know, something that's not that doesn't have like a watermark. You know, something like a bit more, not all over the place. You know, something like this could work. You know, just keep searching with whatever you like. It's all up to you. I continue saying it's personal preference. But let me get some real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so I ended up getting these Sparks right here. You know, nothing too crazy. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a screen to them, or screen. I'm gonna add screen to it. I'm gonna lower the opacity a bit. Nothing too crazy. I'm gonna lower it to like 59%. And now what I'm gonna do is, I don't want it like all over the weapon. So now what I'm gonna do is click on your, you know, Sparks layer. Hold Control and click on the little thumbnail for your M4. And what that's gonna do is gonna select your M4 that you have currently. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a layer mask down here. And what this is gonna do is gonna, you know, put it over the weapon. But I don't want that. I want to do Control and I. What that's gonna do is gonna invert it, and, you know, that's gonna be all over the weapon but on the weapon, you know. So now what I'm gonna take is my eraser. I want to erase like these, you know, hard edges. I don't want hard edges on my, you know, Sparks. So I'm just gonna take my eraser, you know, adjust it a bit, you know. So to do this, your foreground color's got to be black and white. White erases, black adds. So this is for the eraser, right? If you're using a brush, white adds and black erases, but, you know, it's a bit different for each. So I'm just gonna leave it right there. That's pretty much good to me. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add my brushes now. I'm gonna press B on the keyboard, and I'm gonna use white for this overlay brush. You know, nothing to, oh wait, before I forget, I'm gonna lower my opacity to 87% and my flow to 93. You know, that makes it a little less brighter. You know, it doesn't really hit as hard. You can raise your contrast if you want. Nothing too crazy. So now I'm gonna click back on my brush, and I'm gonna add like a blue brush on some areas. You know, I'm gonna add like a bit of purple on some other areas. You know, just play around with it. You know, just add as you know how much as you like. Don't go crazy with it either. You know, you want it to look very good. You know, professional. So you know, you want to add this like here and there. I'm just gonna do this right here. We're gonna be adding like a camera raw filter, so it's gonna be a bit more contrasty. You can move, you know, the M4 a little more to the side, but I don't want to cover the best, you know, of the tweet. But we can do that, of course. You know, I just grab this, you know, everything else. You can put that like right here, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Screw it. I'm doing this. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add like a bit of a, you know, brush on the stock. You know, nothing too crazy. That's pretty much it. What I'm gonna do. You know, I can lower the brightness. You know, add a bit more contrast. Or you can go into exposure, add a new exposure, or go down here. You know, select the exposure right here. I'm gonna make this into a clipping mask. You know, hold Alt on your keyboard, and then go in between the layers, and that makes it into a clipping mask. You know, you can lower the gamma correction, and then the offset, you can lower that as well. Makes your weapon a bit more darker. So what I usually like doing is you know, go down. It's 0.03 or something like that. Or 0.04 in this case scenario. What I'm gonna use, mine is 0.04. So mine is 0.004 is what I use. So it makes it a bit more darker, right? Gamma correction 0.93. No exposure. You can lower that, raise that. You know, it's all up to you. I don't really care. You know, personal preference. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lower by 0.13. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty solid. I'm gonna adjust the tag a bit, make it a bit bigger. You know, drag it a bit more down. Give it a bit more of an angle. That's pretty much it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on my color correction, shift, and then click on the very bottom layer. That is you know, my background. Control G, Control J, and then Control E after that, so it merges together. Now you want to grab your marquee tool. Make sure it's the rectangular marquee tool. Drag that over your, you know, your thumbnail. Control J. What that's gonna do is gonna create a new file, like a new layer without, you know, the excess. Because if you move this right here, you're gonna see all the excess. We don't want that, you know. So we're gonna do that. Make sure you're hovering over your layer. Control Shift A. What that's gonna do is gonna bring up camera raw filter. I'm gonna add a preset, but I'm gonna slide you the details. So for stat bar thumbnails, I usually use 0.05 on exposure, plus 0.05 on exposure, plus 26 contrast, plus 6 highlight, minus 10 shadows, plus 7 in whites, minus 6 in blacks, plus 10 in texture, plus 7 in clarity, plus 5 and plus 4 in saturation. Do I have detail? Yes. I sharpen it a bit. Plus 24 in sharpening, 0.9 radius, 18 detail. Noise reduction is 19, along with the detail being 21, and the color noise reduction is 25. So that's pretty much it when it comes to doing that. As you can see, it does like a bit of a difference. You know, nothing too crazy. You can lower the opacity and stuff on your, you know, brushes. It's all up to you, personal preference. I always keep saying this. And you know, that's pretty much it for the thumbnail. Now what I'm gonna do is just Control Shift S. Control Alt Shift S. What that's gonna do is gonna save for web. So this makes your file more smaller. It compresses it into like a small file. Because if I do Control S, and save it like as, let's say, a JPEG. Where's JPEG? A JPEG. It's gonna be a huge file, and I don't want that. So you can do that through here and File, Export, and then save for web. Legacy, which is Alt Shift S and Control S. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna make sure it's a PNG 24 because it has the best quality for, you know, thumbnails. We're gonna do save, and then I'm just gonna add this to a fake tweet template, and that's pretty much it. So if you did enjoy the video, please make sure to drop a like and a sub. That is greatly and highly appreciated. Also, I do try to stream live on Twitch, you know, every time. So I'm just gonna pull my Twitch up real quick. I do stream on Twitch here and there. I try to stream every day. I'm not too sure, you know, how much I can stream. It all depends on how many thumbnails I need to do, but if you do want to see the magic happen live, I do stream on Twitch. So with that being said, I hope you did enjoy the video. Please do drop a like and a sub. It is greatly appreciated. I will mention it again. And I'm out. Peace.